A new town board will help implement the 208 water quality plan. Town council will soon vote on a proposed plastic bag ban. And we chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald. All this and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, August 18th, 2015. I'm Sarah Mannel. A new board is being formed in Barnstable. The proposed 11-member Water Resources Advisory Committee will work to advise the town on the completion and implementation of the Comprehensive Water Resource Management Planning Project. The formation of the committee is a part of carrying out the 208 Water Quality Plan. The board will be made up of 3 town councilors, 3 water quality and wastewater experts, and 5 members that together represent the geographic diversiveness of our town. Well, should single-use plastic bags be banned in town? Next month, Barnstable residents will have a chance to weigh in on a proposed ban. A measure that would ban single-use plastic bags in town is up for a public hearing during Town Council's September 3rd meeting. Bags used to package bulk items, contain or wrap frozen foods, meat or fish, and contain or wrap flowers and potted plants would be exempt from the ban. 2 men are arrested after leaving a pet in their car to go bar hopping. To find out more on that and other issues, Barnstable This Morning host Sarah Colvin talked with Chief of Police Paul McDonald. We share that interview with you now.
Chief, I want to start kind of taking a look back at the week. How have things been going in terms of police action over the past week here in Barnstable?
Hi, it's been a pretty quiet week down here for us. It's been extremely busy down on Main Street. All the beaches were jammed. It was a beautiful weekend. Spent some time at the beaches. There was a good crowd down there. Number of arrests, the arrests were down for this time of year. We only had a couple of significant arrests. Both of them regarding 2 individuals from off Cape, one from Fall River, one from Westport. They were together. They were out drinking all night Saturday night. They started drinking around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And by 1 o'clock in the morning, they caused disturbance on Main Street. They ended up being placed in protective custody. But during the course of the investigation, they did locate their truck. And in the truck, they found a puppy German Shepherd that was in the vehicle probably since sometime between 4 and 5 o'clock that afternoon. And if you look back over the weekend, remember how hot it was. The poor dog was suffering and was definitely in distress. We called the animal control officer. We get the dog down to a vet, and the dog is fine right now. So those 2 individuals were both charged with cruelty to animals and placed in protective custody. So besides that, it was a pretty mild weekend for us.
Excellent. We like that this time of year for
yes.
sure. I think, we talk about the winter keeping people in their houses. I think the heat has been keeping people behaving as well.
It keeps them at the beach.
That's right. Keeps them at the beach in the water, out of trouble.
Right.
Chief, want to continue talking a little bit about the homeless issue here
yes.
in town. It really has been making headlines lately, and really the discussion surrounding, what to do with really the concentration of social service right. Organizations here in downtown Hyannis. And talk to me a little bit about, the conversations you've had with some of our business leaders and folks, and really where are we in terms of taking a look at perhaps moving that shelter? And maybe let's talk a little bit about the impact that the shelter has on our downtown area.
Yeah, the shelter has a huge impact on the downtown area. Not only the fact that it's a draw for the homeless community to come down here, but also its location. The shelter has got to go. The shelter has got to be moved. We have to find a more appropriately sized and located shelter. It has to be moved from its current location. That is a huge problem in itself. But over the last couple of years, the influx of homeless individuals coming down to the Hyannis area, along with the social service agencies, we're getting to the point where it is totally saturated in the small village of Hyannis. We have to start decentralizing some of these social services with the movement, with the moving of the shelter, because we have to look out and project, 4, 5, or 6 years down the line, and if this trend keeps going, we are going to be completely overwhelmed with social service agencies and homeless individuals, wandering the streets of Main Street, Hyannis, and that's going to be totally unacceptable. We are a caring, compassionate community, and we certainly will do our part, and even if the problem as it is today, just stayed status quo, we could take care of it, and I'm sure we could find housing, and the appropriate care for all these individuals that we're currently dealing with. The problem is we just can't keep handling the influx of these individuals that keep coming from across the Cape and across New England. That's the huge problem we have to deal with.
Right, and certainly we're seeing issues surrounding shelters and services kind of closing down, even off Cape, and really we are kind of not just the central location for Cape Cod, but really the South Shore and the South Coast. And when we look at, is there anywhere else on the Cape that does provide services for the homeless population?
No. Well, there are other shelters. There are a couple of shelters down in Falmouth. They're both in North Falmouth, but they're both family shelters. And we have several other shelters in downtown Hyannis besides NOAA, but they too are family shelters or domestic violence shelters, and we virtually have no problem with those shelters whatsoever. It's the individual shelters. It's the shelters that deal specifically with people who have some type of addiction issue or mental health issue. Those are the homeless individuals that are most problematic for us. I don't think anybody will disagree that there's a need for a shelter somewhere in southeastern Massachusetts, and I do think there's a trend out there, a movement to move the shelter, and I do feel that the shelter is going to move. I think even the Housing System Corporation and NOAA accepts the fact that where it's located right now is totally inappropriate, and I think they're willing to move it too. The problem is we just have to find the appropriate location for it. 10 years ago, we had the jail, the prison over in Route 6A in Barnstable Village. That was able to move. If you can move a prison into another location, you certainly can move a homeless shelter into a different location. It's done. Fall River just moved their shelter. Boston, city of Boston, they just closed a huge shelter up there because the bridge getting over to the Long Island shelter was condemned, so they had to close that shelter. So it's not unusual that shelters close and they reopen in some other different location.
Absolutely. Can we talk, Chief, about what kind of an impact the population has on the police department? I know that the police do have to respond to the NOAA shelter quite frequently, and of course, there are concerns. But we had the issue of people targeting homeless people for drug sales.
Yes.
But talk a little bit about how much time and effort is spent by your department kind of dealing with this issue.
It's huge. We're in the process now of getting all the stats together. Town council is expecting a presentation from us on September 17th, and that's one of the answers they want to know. They want to know exactly what the call volume is and how much does it cost the town, how much does it cost the police department, and how much of our resources and assets are we dedicating to this. And it really is an extraordinary amount. If we just look at just the 3 offices, the community impact unit, that's all they do is just deal with the homeless population. There's 3 offices. If you take their salaries and all their benefits, you're talking easily well over $300,000 just for those 3 offices. Plus the equipment they use, the crews they use. They work out of the Hyannis station. The overtime, the court time's involved in that. The station time of booking prisoners and housing prisoners. It's a lot. And then if you look at the whole department and how many calls are actually generated by the homeless community, they're literally they're in the thousands of calls. So it's going to be quite substantial. And we don't have all that information yet, but we're in the process of gathering it because we have to go through a full year. We want to look back at a full 12 months and get all the stats.
And it does, Chief, seem that really all of the interested parties are working well together on solving the issue. All the police department, our town councilors, as well as the service providers and the business community.
Everybody working together. We got a great collaborative. We're working with NOAA. We're working with HAC. We're working with everybody. Everybody wants to do the right thing. I think everybody's on the page, and we just have to look out, 5, 10, to 15-year windows, see where the problems are going to be, and we have to really correct that. And the key is limiting the size of the shelter. The shelter, the way it is right now, a 60-bed shelter is much too large for southeastern Massachusetts. We have to dissuade these individuals to coming to Cape Cod because they're homeless, because the service is here, because the shelter is here. So we have to start decentralizing everything, and these individuals have to be encouraged to go back to wherever their support network is, where their family, friends, or relatives are. They're the ones who should be the primary caregivers for these individuals, not Cape Cod.
And you can hear from Police Chief Paul McDonald every Tuesday during Barnstable This Morning. Barnstable This Morning is an hour-long news program that airs weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Growth Management Director Joanne Miller-Buntich. We'll talk with Finance Director Mark Milne. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sarah Mannel.